shake it. I attempted to do a somewhat homage to the classic 60s TV show Rat Patrol with that intro, but it didn't quite come out as good as I wanted it to. 1945 Winky is the ideal addition to anyone's collection of war memorabilia. Just picture it in your man cave, next to your curated collection of bayonets and unexploded grenades. Of course it's still functional, but you're not actually going to charge into combat with it. Are you? The latest review was brought to you by a viewer request. The Vapid Winky, the official car of the guy who was an overachiever in ROTC in high school, but couldn't pass basic training. I'll be honest, I wasn't planning on reviewing this car, frankly because it didn't seem very interesting to me. However, I test drove the little guy, and as I did, I grew to appreciate it a little bit more during my testing. My third thought was that I was a bit surprised Rockstar didn't badge this under the Canis manufacturer, but after doing some research, I found out that the original Willys Jeep was actually designed by Ford, which they named the Ford GPW. Now Ford and Jeep have swapped ownerships more times than I probably owned cars, but since Ford made the original design of the Jeep, I feel Vapid, GTA 5's version of Ford, deserves this one. The name itself, Winky, is clearly a reference to its nickname it received during its production, the Willys Jeep. Unfortunately, there is no history about the vehicle, but there is a few close counterparts. The closest I've discovered was the classic Mesa from the 3D era. The Mesa could be found with a hardtop or topless. Naturally, the classic Mesa resembled a Jeep Wrangler YJ, which was a predecessor to the old CJ platform. The older model CJ is very closely resembling the design of the Winky we have now. The Winky itself, if you couldn't have already guessed, resembles the classic Willys MB, designed during the Second World War. It was designed for a number of roles. Some were just used for transport, but others had mounted machine guns. Some were even armored and had bazookas, anti-tank guns, and even mobile rocket artillery, very similar to the Katyusha rockets used by the Soviets on the Eastern Front. This vehicle is like the Toyota pickups of World War II. Is there nothing they hadn't tried with these things? Okay, so I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about the specs. The Wiki article was still being worked on, but I was able to piece together most of the information myself. Based on the model in-game, the Winky features a pushrod inline 4-cylinder engine. The model is entirely unique to the Winky, which I'll commend Rockstar for actually putting in some effort here. Some cool info about the Willys engine. The Willys L134 was nicknamed the Go Devil engine. I'm not sure how it got that name or why it was called that. The L134 was an L-head flathead engine making around 60 horsepower. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it made up for nearly double the torque at 105 pound-feet. Okay, is it just me, or does this thing sound like the Satsuma for my summer car? Hold up one second. Alright, it sounds a bit more meatier, but that's probably because there's no exhaust installed. It kind of reminds me of the old 510 rally car from GT6. The max RPMs were also pretty low too, making its powerful 60 horsepower at only 4,000 RPMs. Back to the Winky. It is also all-wheel drive. It has a near perfect split with 48% in the front and 52% in the rear. One thing you probably noticed in my video and in the footage was that the Winky features 2 extra gear sticks by the main gear shifter. This is fairly common in most off-road vehicles, one being of course to engage the 4-wheel drive system and the other for a low and high range. Unfortunately, we cannot use these features in the game. But it's a nice little touch, I suppose. One thing I did notice a lot though is the Winky is very bouncy. So bouncy it tends to want to flip over. That is due to the suspension being all leaf springs and having live axles as opposed to independent suspension. I mean, this is kind of fairly common for a vehicle of the era, so I'm not going to really complain much here. However, I will say this, one thing that disappointed me was the seating and use of weapons. You can still do drive-bys with this vehicle, but you cannot use two-handed weapons like the assault rifles and shotguns. Even the rear passenger can't. This vehicle is completely open to the elements, and I can't use a rifle? I also think it would have been cool to add something like a machine gun or anti-aircraft gun or something cool like that nature, since after all, this is a military vehicle. It's lightweight, somewhat relatively quick, and perfect for a quick ambush, like in the old 60s TV show Rat Patrol, which I clearly made a parody of in the beginning, but that's just my take on it, honestly. I think the Winky is a cool little off-roader, a great addition to the new DLC, but not really practical. This is mostly due to the open-air design, lack of weapon support, and the somewhat slow nature of the vehicle. Overall, I gave it a 7 out of 10. 1945 Vapid Winky, for when you want to kill some Nazis in the desert. Well, that's about it for this video. That's a little bit shorter than I thought it'd be. You'll probably notice in the background I put in some music. That was recommended to me by a friend. He said, I like your videos, but what is missing is the music. So I added some music from some classic PS1 games, as you probably can't tell. I'll actually link to the music in the description. I got a whole playlist for all kinds of like chill background music. Most of it's old PS1 and PS2 game music. But yeah, that's my take on the Winky. It's, I think they could have done a bit more with this vehicle. But then again, if they made it into a militarized vehicle, I'm pretty sure everyone would be like, oh great, we've got another armored gun vehicle. Like, okay, I know a while back they were like weaponizing like regular passenger cars. That's dumb. That's stupid. This would have been a perfect vehicle to make it into a weaponized vehicle because it's a military vehicle. You could like launch rockets off of it, use a machine gun. I don't know, put an anti-aircraft gun. I remember at one point they had put a 37mm anti-tank gun on one of those things. I'm not sure how practical it was, but that would be kind of interesting, I suppose. But yeah, that's kind of my take on the Winky, honestly. It's a cool little novelty vehicle, but honestly, it isn't worth the $1 million you spend on it, so, yeah. But I'm kind of surprised that Rockstar put a bit more effort into these vehicles. I think, I noticed that a lot of the engine models they use are, getting pretty old at this point and look pretty, lacking, to say the least, so. Yeah, that's basically my take on the Winky. If you enjoyed the video, let me know. Leave a like. If you didn't enjoy the video, please tell me how I can improve the videos. I actually wanted to do a bit more with the intro, but due to my computer being, well, crap, it's hard to edit these videos sometimes. Thankfully, I'm building a new PC. I've ordered most of the parts except for the graphics card. I have to figure that stuff out. But I'll be able to make better videos and play better games and stuff, so that'll be probably coming in mid-February, so look out for that. I'll probably do a video about me building up the computer, and I think it'll be a blast, so stay tuned for that. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed watching, and tune in next time when I make another car review, I guess. Bye bye.